The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Happiness Jungle TV show with yours truly, Lyn-Dee Eldridge. And I am beyond blessed today, beyond blessed. We have an absolutely amazing, inspiring, not only is she an author, she's a motivated speaker from Columbus, Ohio. Her name is Serena Brown Tavis, and I have to tell you, when you hear her words of wisdom when it comes to our children and trying to make our children grow up in a more respectful world, in a world where we could give them more self-confidence, I hope that you are going to take these lessons that you're going to learn today and you're going to now practice them on children that you know that are a part of your life. You know, in this world, this show right here is all about building kids in a bad world. Oh my God, what a perfect title. So without further ado, I want to welcome a very good friend of mine. I want to even call her a sister of mine that inspires me, Miss Serena Brown Tavis from Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Serena.
Hello there. Thank you so much, Lyn-Dee. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Oh, Serena, I am just feeling so blessed that you are. And I want you to know that I have your books in my possession, and my grandchildren and I really, really enjoy them. And we enjoy them so much because they're so interactive.
That's good to hear. Well, first of all, thank you so much for investing in your children, your grandchildren, and for even helping me out by purchasing a book. So I am honored and privileged that you would have done something like that. And I tried to make it interactive because as children, I did not like to be lectured to. And I'm sure that most kids, you don't like to be lectured to. But I love an interactive, you know, I'll listen to you if you listen to me. I was a special child growing up. So I made it like that on purpose.
I love it. So now let me ask you something. The characters in the book, any relations to people that you know?
No relation to anyone that I know, but of course the stories were inspired just across my entire career. So at times I am a substitute teacher. There are other times I volunteer with local agencies. And so I just take a collection of the stories that I hear along the way. So they're certainly inspired by individuals, but you know, just for the sake of privacy, I chose not to put any real names with people that we knew.
Yeah, and I love the message, and I love how you really gave each character a personality that every child is going to relate to, because if it's not them, they know another little child. And my granddaughter was funny. She says, that sounds like, and I'm not going to say the name, that sounds like so-and-so. And I'm like, really? And now I get her to have a conversation about it. So
that's the whole point. That's
yeah,
the whole
magic.
Point. No. I am grateful that the story was divinely inspired, to be quite honest. And I'm a mother of two, so I have a 13-year-old and all of her friends, and I have a 10-year-old and all of her friends. So I have a combination of so many different personalities that come in the house or come to play dates. And so just with all of them, period, I'm able to pull from so many personalities and their sense of humor or their level of sensitivity. So I am just truly grateful that I was able to put this on paper and it's helping young people. That is actually good to hear.
Yep, and I know that you're going to be coming out with more books as well.
This is true. My goal was to find, you know, gone are the days that mom is at work, dad is at work, grandma's in the kitchen baking pies. I mean, some of us are still fortunate enough to have those families, but nowadays you have children who maybe they don't have their mother. Dad is gone. Grandma may be in jail, and they're left with a neighbor or in an adoption agency. And so I wanted a place where children can find books of characters that matched where they were. Everything is not always warm and fuzzy. Every now and again, there's not always a happy ending. And so sometimes children don't even know what it's like to get a warm hug from mom and dad. And they don't know what it's like to smell an apple pie cooking in the kitchen. And they come home from school and grandma's making baked cookies. And so I wanted to create characters and to create a message where it teaches positivity even in a tough world. And that's why one of my goals is to have built children in a tough world so that they can still be positive and optimistic about the future.
Wow, well, I absolutely love it. So I want us to go and I want us to talk a little bit about the guardians that are taking care of our children. It could be parents, it could be siblings, it could be whatever. Then that's why I chose the word guardian, so I could, give that a universal title. I want us to talk about, Serena, there's a detachment here. Obviously, whether the parents are working too much or they're a combined family or they're a split family, can we give some suggestions to the guardians for them just to be able to take a deep breath and give the acknowledgement that the children are thirsty for? Can we give them some tips, please? Because I know you've got them.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, I would like to thank everyone who has ever been a guardian, everyone who's ever filled in a gap. So one of the things that in my family, and don't be fooled just because I'm Les Brown's daughter, that we still have some issues. We still have issues. And so with that being said, I've had a little cousin that has lived with me since she was 14, and she's now 22. She still lives with me. She has since had a baby. Still very proud of her, just a few little rough spots along the way. But even with being her guardian and understanding that I could not unwire everything that happened from 0 to 14. There were things that she saw, things that she had experience to and exposure to, negative words that really impacted her self-esteem. And as her big cousin and her guardian, I just did my best to fill in the gap, to still hug her when she needed to be hugged, to wipe her tears when she had questions and she was confused about life and how come my mother can't act like you, and all of those questions. And yes, it's heartbreaking and it's touching, but for people who, like you or like myself, or for other people who are brave enough to stand in the gap, you can't undo everything, but the goal is to at least plant enough seeds, enough positive energy, enough positive words that can give the young man or a young woman hope for the future. And that's all I wanted to do for my little cousin and the young people that I have access to. If I can be that one person to spread a positive word, if you, Lyn-Dee, can be that one person to tell someone, you look pretty today, or young man, you're handsome, or I am so proud of you. If you can do that, and if we on this Facebook group can all collectively do that together, we will start building positive kids in a negative world in spite of what it is that everyone else is going through.
Wow, I love that. And I love the fact that I love the fact that, first of all, you accepted your cousin, who you're guardian for. Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of you that you didn't harp on her for the wrongs. But in fact, and this goes out to everybody, when a child is doing something that we may not agree with, there's a way that we could communicate with them to make that situation, give them the opportunity to create a new personal blueprint from it.
Listen, that was exactly what my goal was. She had already been thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
A lot of these young people in bad situations, they can't choose who their parents are and what the neighborhood surrounding looks like. So she was already out in the wolves. So my goal was to bring her into a household of love, a household of consistency, a household of hope, and give her encouragement. And yes, she has stumbled. It was not ideal for her to have a baby while she lived with me, but it's also my responsibility to make sure that I still love her, I embrace her. She was scared to death telling me. She was scared to death. And I called her and I said, well, what do you think I'm going to do? And she said, I thought you would have been mad at me and kicked me out of the house. And I said, honey, I will never leave you. I will never. There's nothing you can do that can retract my love for you, my support for you. Now, let's be careful. I don't want to I don't want a tribe of children in the house. But with that being said, her son is fantastic, and she is an excellent mother. And I am so grateful that she knew that I was not going to give up on her, even though everyone else did, even though her mother and everyone else talked so poorly about her. If I could be that one person, and that's really my charge for everyone and my challenge for everyone. If you can be that one person that can turn someone's life around, even when they stumble, even when they do something that we're not proud of, to still let them know it's okay. Because thank goodness I've never had like a camera crew follow me around as a kid, because I would have disappointed a lot of people. I think all of us would.
Oh, that is so wild. Well, I wasn't even going to mention that you were Les Brown's daughter until the very end. So I'm glad that you brought that up, though, because we always think that because we come from such greatness that we have that perfect setting. And in fact, that's just not true, because we're all human beings. And the other thing that I want to share with you is that you stand on your own. Yes, you are Mr. Les Brown's daughter, but I got to tell you, Serena, you do not need that platform to ever be introducing you. You are.
I thank you for that. I thank you. And even though I appreciate that, and I somehow or another, I thought you mentioned it, so that just lets you know what was going through my head at the time. But even being his daughter, yes, we all have our own challenges. Even on the Brown side, we still have our own challenges, but we remember, and sometimes we have to go back to our father's quotes to say it's possible, or it's not over until we win, to make a relationship work or to make our greatness shine.
That's
so
right.
Thank you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And the other thing I want to compliment you on, she's a great mother to this beautiful baby because she has you as a model.
You know what? I appreciate that. And she wrote me a Mother's Day card and said, I want to be just like you. And I said, well, honey, are you sure? She said, I want to be. She said, you make me feel like a smart girl, and you always encourage me. And I said, well, honey, I'm okay with that. I appreciate you, but I want you to be better than me. And so she agreed. So we're trying. She's still a work in progress, but she's doing an excellent job. I could not be more proud of her.
I love it. And you're not trying, but you're doing. So that word trying is not even in my vocabulary, because I believe that we could do, we do.
True.
And the more that we do, the more that we accomplish and we achieve. Children are very, very important to me. I mean, let's face reality. They are our tomorrow. When we are retiring, they're the ones that are going to be carrying the world, right? So
indeed.
I just want to make sure that we're not with our kids 24/7. So anything that goes on that they're not in our presence, in our own mind, of course, they're doing well until something happens to show, oops, but we as adults aren't always on cue either. So,
absolutely.
So accepting that children and adults and babies, we are human beings that are supposed to be making errors, that are supposed to be learning to be able to strengthen ourselves to become even more better than we could ever have dreamed of. That is why God made us. If God didn't want us to grow, he would have just kept us on a plateau.
Indeed. And we would all be bored.
And we would
be so bored. We would be so bored.
And getting in trouble.
Right.
You know?
And one of the things I like to focus on is when we are raising our children well, and not just our own children. My goal, my challenge to you and your listeners today is to try to be a mentor and fill in the gap for someone. It doesn't have to be all the time, because I know everyone is busy. But one of the things that when my children are not with me and they think they want to act cut up, and then I go back and say, remember who you are. Because I know I put enough in them that they know, oh, this isn't right, and I better not send this text, or I probably shouldn't post my innermost thoughts or post a curse word to try to cuss someone out. Remember who you are. And so, again, if we establish enough positive relationships with young people, then all of a sudden when they start to sway to the left, we can say, hey, I taught you better. Remember who you are. Remember what I put in you. And therefore, we can hope and pray that they follow the right track.
Oh, amen. My granddaughter and I were out the other day, and I ran into somebody that knows me for a long time. And they always have such fabulous, wonderful things to say about me. My oldest granddaughter was with me in Florida, and I ran into somebody that I was in high school with. She had something kind to say. I asked my granddaughters, there's a lesson here. What do you think it is? And they said, knowing what I have always said to them, they said, people like you. And I said to them, let me help you with this. Whatever you do today is going to follow you into all of your tomorrows. How do you want to be remembered from today in 20 years?
Right. And that's powerful. That's powerful. My grandmother had a lesson, and she would always say, Serena, keep your name clean. And I thought, well, what does that mean? What do you mean, keep my name? What do you mean? I mean, I'm 5 years old. What do you mean, keep my name clean? But now, of course, as I grew up and, I saw people maybe at an early age, they were drinking or they were engaging in other activities that were not, that I wasn't supposed to do. It makes perfect sense now, because no matter how old you are, you can remember if John Doe was cutting a fool in school, or if so-and-so had stinky breath, or if someone did something left of center. Again, it goes into the concept of keep your name clean. So congratulations to you for always being the example of who you are today. I mean, I've always loved your concept of the happiness jungle. So what an honor for your grandchildren to look and go, oh, grandma's not bluffing. You are the message that you preach. And that's actually hard to find at times. So the fact that someone from high school will have so many kind things to say to you, kudos to you and how you've conducted yourself in this thing we call life.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I was shocked. I thought I was a rebel. I thought that, oh my God, I carried on. I remember having a big heart. I remember always being the one that said, wait a second, we got to weigh this out and make it right. I remember thinking that, but I had no idea of really how much I made a difference. And that's what I want to instill on the guardians and on the children. Open up your home so the children are safe. And here's another thing. I love to open up my homes. I was just like you, because when I was remarried, he had 3 children, and they all had friends, and we had a very, very big house. And when the kids came in, I loved it. I cooked, I made sure there was food and everything, right? But here's the most important thing, guardians. You get to hear things that they will not tell you, but because the walls have a little bit of thin layer, you get to know exactly what's going on. So I tell all guardians, would you rather not know or would you rather know?
Listen, that is everything. So there are times that I'll say to my children, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. It doesn't matter how you answer. It doesn't matter what you say. You're not going to be in trouble. Now, I must warn you, be prepared for the response. Be prepared for the response.
Good one.
But just little small things like that. The fact that you cook with your children or have food available. And yes, when people are happy and they eat, they talk. And you get to find out what's going on in your child's mind and what's going on in their world. And don't think just because they're 7, 8, or 9 years old that they don't have stresses of their own. See, sometimes we forget just because they're children, we go, oh, you're supposed to be happy. Go outside and play. Or why aren't you smiling? Well, every now and again, children have some stuff going on too. And so it's wonderful as a guardian, as a parent, as an aunt, uncle, cousin, anyone, if you have access to children anywhere, or just in a grocery store to say, hello, how are you? You look gorgeous today. Just anything you can do to get a child to just speak. Have you noticed that sometimes children don't even speak anymore? They don't smile anymore. And so unfortunately for them, life can get the best of children. And so for folks like us, who, have the best intentions at heart with good sense and nuggets of positivity to spread around. It is our goal, it is our mission and our duty to make sure we keep children talking and letting them know how powerful they are.
Wow. I am doing a program in schools now called Social Emotional Learning. That is very big throughout the whole universe. It's very, very big, right? I want to go back to what you said, that children have problems, and because we're adults, we don't think they are because they're so small.
Right.
I remember Serena being, I think it was 11 or 12 years old, and I was stressing. I was in middle school, I was being bullied, and I was having challenges. And my mother looked at me and go, what do you know? You don't have any challenges. You are a
Right.
child. You want to know what problems are? Come here, I'll show you problems. I'm
Yeah.
like, I even remember saying to her, I don't want your problems. I'll see them later. But Mom, I got challenges going on.
Mhm.
I never
And
had
listen,
that relationship. Yeah.
right. And I think it's so important to validate what our children are feeling and to validate what they go through. Yeah, no, we don't understand what it's like at my age or at your age, what it means for a boyfriend to break up with you, or what it means to be publicly humiliated on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube when someone breaks up with you. We have no idea. So it is our responsibility to put aside our well, I've been there here before. No, actually, we haven't. This is a new day. I mean, certainly the stresses are still the same. There's still peer pressure. There's still bullying, but we don't have a clue. It's so much different these days. If you're not on Facebook or Twitter, if you don't have the money, think about the children who don't have the money to even have a cell phone to be on social media. That's a whole different stress.
It
That's a whole
truly
different area
is.
of stress. Yeah, so the problems are they're the same, but they're so much different, and we can't expect to relate to the kids as on their level. We have to listen to them. We have to hear them out. We'll never know what it feels like for someone to get on Facebook or any social media platform and talk about our ugly shoes. We don't know that because
That's
back
right.
in our day, there were notes that were being sent around, or maybe there was, a train of someone whispering in someone's ear and then someone whispering in someone else's ear. And we can solve our problems in school or in the playground. Nowadays, it's everywhere. So, yeah, no, we can relate, but we need to listen more than we try to talk and lecture to the children just to see where they are, what their stresses are, and what exactly they're going through.
Oh, amen. Amen. I do it all the time. Pause. Duct
Yes.
tape your mouth. Just duct tape your
Yes.
mouth and pretend like you cannot talk, whether it's laryngitis, and let your child just go ahead and empty. You will understand so much more. And when they're done, maybe you still have to pause and say, you know what? Let's go have an ice cream sundae.
Right,
And
right.
just,
Hey, you can conclude it with simply thank you for sharing. I didn't
yes.
know that you were going through that. I appreciate you sharing your story with me today. Any of those things. I mean, sometimes just like you said, it does not require advice.
Right.
It doesn't require a solution, but to be a listening ear to a child, that is everything. Because our parents, I mean, we had good parents, but they didn't listen to our woes. Like you said, your mother would say, "Oh, you wait until you get older. You don't have problems. Wait until you're my age and you have problems." What, 12 years old, you did have a problem, and your problem was ignored. And so our goal should be to make sure the children are heard, and also we don't shut them down because of how we were taught to communicate. Because we were to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And so therefore and sometimes that didn't work for us. I mean, we're still going to counseling now because we were seen and not heard. So,
Amen.
yes, our goal as parents and guardians, just anything, our goal is to make sure we raise children who don't need counseling in their adult years. And that's real talk. It is our goal to make sure that our stresses do not become their stresses. And so that's why I so appreciate what you do, and I feel so empowered to be on your platform today.
Oh my God. Well, I am more than empowered on all of your platforms. You kidding me?
Thank you.
If you feel the parent, the guardian, that you don't feel that you have the tools within to have these discussions with your children, I bet you have a friend that you admire and respect, and you could literally bring them in, or maybe your child is already talking to another adult. When I was younger, I found another woman who was in her 20s that I could speak to. And she
Nice.
guided me through
Nice.
a lot of stuff, because my mom, whenever I would say to her, "Hey, Mom," you know how I used to do a make-believe friend? "Hey, my friend so-and-so, this is what's going on. How would you treat that?" My mother said, "I would beat the living pulp out of you." Well, guess what never happened?
Right.
I would
Right. Right.
never, I was already beat enough. There was no way I was
Right.
going for another whooping. So I found an adult woman that gave me such wonderful wisdom and advice. And what she said to me is that your actions will always have a consequence, whether it's a positive one or a negative one, Lyn-Dee. And I would be like, Jane, wow. It was beautiful because she spoke with me, not at me. She didn't threaten me.
Right, right. And that's good. And I would say that even if you don't feel adequate enough to sit down and have a conversation with children, I still think you'll be surprised. I feel like you're more than enough. I'm more than enough. Yeah. And however, there are times where it's perfectly fine to step aside and let someone take the mentorship or the guidance to a new level. So I'm perfectly fine. Like right now, my daughter, it's the end of the school year. So as an 8th grader, she has senioritis. And so I received her little interim and I said, now what is this? You know, and it's not horrible, but it's not the standard that we've kept throughout the entire year. So I understand, at the end of the year, you're tired. It's hot outside, the sun is out. But nonetheless, I told a girlfriend of mine, I said, hey, listen, I've done what I can do. Now, if you feel like that you can advise her and give her a little more nuggets of wisdom, feel free. You let her know her mom is crazy about grades. But nonetheless, if you can continue to encourage her, then I'm good with that. And so even when you have a tight village of friends, of like-minded parents, of like-minded communities, just as you suggested, that is always super helpful because there are conversations my friends can't have with their child that I can.
That's right.
And I get so much deeper and I go, oh yeah, by the way, your child said, and they're like, you're kidding. She never told me that. I'm like, oh yeah, we go way back.
Amen.
So the beautiful part, even as a parent, I know when I can step aside and there's no jealousy. I'm not upset because it was always my goal to be around like-minded people. And if we create cultures and communities of like-minded parents, I mean, if your goal and my goal are the same of making sure our children are productive and they have good grades and they become a responsible individual and citizen, then it's okay if you give my child advice. In fact, I appreciate if you do so. And so that should also be our goal as well.
I love it. Serena, I can't believe it. We're running out of time. How can people get a hold of you? Give them your website. See, I told you it was going to go fast.
This was the fastest, as you said, the fastest 27 minutes of my life. Nonetheless, you can find me at SerenaBrownTavis.com. That is SERENA, Brown, just like the color Travis, TRAV, like Victor, IS.com. Every now and again, I'll have a blog post or just a video post or any of those things. And you can always find me on Facebook as well, author Serena Brown Tavis, or you can just become my friend, SerenaBrownTavis.com.
And you are a very, very special gift to me and to the whole world. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you stand for, everything you do. The Happiness Jungle always makes me smile. Even when you don't think it does, you post your logo and I smile immediately. So thank you so much for being contagious.
I appreciate you so much. Everybody, we never said that life was easy, but we did say you can be happier. Connect with Serena Brown Tavis, connect with me, and allow your children to grow up in a happier world, even in the tough world that they live in today. Bye, everybody. Say bye, Serena.
Take care.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.